Thomas, are you ready to make up for last week's debacle in Hong Kong? Not only did Golden 60 throw up a stinker, so did Tom and Rich.
Well, Golden 60, I don't know, he was too far back, but did you see the last final time split?
I watched it, but
20,
I didn't really
21
look.
and 9.
Mm.
So he was flying at the end. It was just he was just not in a position to catch the leader.
Yeah, it's funny is that. So I was saying last night after the show that we put on our show with Claudia Spadaro. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, you might want to go do that. She's very enthusiastic, a lot of fun for Gulfstream for the Pegasus tomorrow, and we made our picks there. But I was watching the first couple races, and I didn't know so I handicapped like I told you 7 of the 9 cards races. So I watched the first one, and I had like the 10 horse that won that was like 9-1. And then I had this second horse that came in second, and like my fourth pick finished third and had a nice exact. And I'm like, you know what, maybe I got this. So I watched the second race, and then the third one was coming. So I bet the second one, which is what we did. And I think I had the winner, but I didn't have anything behind it. And I'm like, okay, this should go well. So then I bet all the other ones, but they were going to be like 3:00 in the morning. And I just went to bed, and I figured I'm going to wake up and my account's going to be flush with cash.
Yeah, big goose egg.
Big goose egg. So hopefully we can make a golden goose egg today and not just empty shell.
Well, we're going to certainly try.
So what are we doing this weekend, Tom? We've been to South Africa. We've been to Australia. We've been to England. We've been to France. Where else have we been?
France, Japan.
Japan.
No, we haven't done Japan yet.
Hong Kong.
Hong
Did
Kong.
I say Hong Kong?
Number of times, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we this week before I picked this one, I was looking at New Zealand as a possibility. Go back to South Africa because there's very big races there this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the top races, or we should get ready for Meydan because the other races, the bigger bucks races are coming. And as I said, next Friday, Hot Rod Charlie's going to run in a $250,000 race. So, there's a few bucks there, though. And that's why a lot of people flock there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you look at Dubai, not only is it, they seem to have very nice beaches, brand new kind of area. And then on top of that, now they're going to have the World Cup coming there at the end of 2022. Did you get a chance to watch the U.S. men's team last night or no?
No, I didn't watch it.
No, you didn't watch it at all. All right. Well, all right. Let's talk a little bit about, Kevin, we were kind of upset about last week too, unfortunately. Losing all the guy. But anyway, made it back yesterday with my 5-1 best bet in the Superfecta Cold over at Aqueduct. And, Tom, I don't know if this happens to you, but I had 3 horses I was deciding on for like the sixth place, race 6. And the 4th horse, I was deciding between the 3, the 5, and the 10. And I settled on the 5. And initially I put the 10 there. I never had the 3 in that spot, but it was like in that conversation. And then 10 went on to win and paid $100. And it's just like, why does it, when there's a 50-50 choice, why when I flip it, do I call heads and it lands on tails every time?
I only go 4 deep on big fields.
Mm-hmm.
Not this 8-horse field. I only go 3 deep, just because of that reason as much as anything. But I try to limit myself on how many horses I pick.
I've come up with a new rule.
Yeah, it just for me it just seems to be makes better discipline, and I can quickly throw out some horses that I don't think have a chance, and then narrow it down real quick. The only time that I'll pass on a race is if I go through it and I have 8 contenders out of 10 horses, and I'm like, yeah, no, this one I'm not going to get.
Well, I think the next time I'm in a situation like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that race and put them all in, and then go 5 deep, and then look at the race above and the race below, or any other of the races in the sequence, and see if maybe I can toss out some of the back half picks, because I think in that sequence, 2 of my top picks and a second pick won. So 3 of the 4 were either a top pick or a second pick, and it was the one leg that I was uncertain on where I got beat. So hopefully I can learn to.
A lot of times I just hit the all button as I would if I got 8 out of 10 contenders, I hit the all button if I'm playing a pick 5 or pick 4. Pick 3s, I won't do that.
No, never on pick 3.
No,
All right, so we're going to go to Dubai. Here is the track layout at Meydan, and
it's
looks
an
like
interesting.
they
And
run
we
the
have
same way they
one
run
race.
here,
It's a straightaway race,
uh-huh,
the 1,000-meter race,
which is about 5 furlongs.
And we got 2 dirts and 2 turfs. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the turf one, of course, is a long one. It starts at the top of the stretch.
So they do run the same order in the same way around the track as we do, right?
Counterclockwise.
All right, good. So that way, I was watching some of the races there this morning because, again, I'm a little bit off on what day we're doing things. So I was handicapping the races this morning, and I'm watching them after I realized that they were running now. So I went and looked, and I was watching them, and I saw that it seems to me, and maybe I'm just a very small window of observation here, but it looked to me like speed kind of holds there. Has that been your experience?
Mixed. I find speed generally gets caught, and but if it's a horse well placed, then I mean, I think it'll have a chance. I think speed holds better on the dirt than it does on the turf.
So, and I was watching, and that's not necessarily winning the speed horses because a lot of the winners did run them down, but they finished second or third, and they were able to get a piece of the prize, so to speak. All right, so the first race we're going to do, Tom, I think I'm not 100% sure. Is
at
the
this
7
point,
furlong?
Yeah, you got the right one.
All right, the new Range Rover versus the used Range Rover.
Information
is a little bit limited on the website, but Tom was kind enough to send me some past performances because I was looking at blank screens. I was going through all these horses and clicking on their past performances and trying to organize them in Excel. And thankfully, Tom finally sent me some past performances, and I was able to get cracking here. But this one is 7 furlongs, Tom. I think this one is on the dirt course.
It's the dirt one, yeah.
We
for horses rated between 65 and 99. So you get a wide range of horses competing in this race. So I started with number 4, Tayer Barca, I think.
Tabarak. We'll go with Tabarak since I'm the official pronunciator of the show.
I'll let you butcher it as easily as I can. Draw 7. Got 8 starts, a win, second, and a third. It won at this distance, but it's been a while since it's done it, and it is dropping a little bit in terms of what it's been facing before. So I think that's they're trying to get the horse in the right place, so to speak. Last race, sat in the middle, moved forward at the 400-meter mark, and then went the other way. Now that was a 1,200-meter race, so we're going 1,400 today. So it'll be interesting to see how this horse runs. I think he sits mid-pack, and with a little bit of class relief, maybe that'll be enough to get him over the line. Number 3, Hyde Park, and I can pronounce that one.
Yes, because we live not too far from Hyde Park. Yes, we're a famous. Well, the 2 presidents back used to live there at Hyde Park. Barack Obama, thanks to Tony Rezko, he got a really nice deal on his house.
Well, he should. 39 starts. He's got 4 wins, a second, and 6 thirds. He was a winner last time out at Jebel Ali, which is one of the other. There are, I think, 5 tracks there, and they have some. I wouldn't call them minor because they use them as preps for sometimes these races here. But obviously, Meydan is the big track, significantly big track. So. He usually runs on the lead, but he didn't do it in the last race. He tracked the leaders and then moved. So I'm expecting that again. At this distance, he's run 24 times. He has 3 wins, a second, and 5 thirds. He's definitely going up a little in class, but I think he's got a good chance here. I think off the win and his running style, I think should put him somewhere in this money. 2, Shanty Star, draw 3 is my final one. 21 starts, only has 1 win, 4 seconds, and a third. So, bit of a drop class for him in here too. I mean, he was in the 80s and 95 types and did absolutely nothing. And the but his last two races were on the turf, where he's not been great. And now they're moving back to the dirt. And I think that'll help. He ran a good third, couple starts back, and I mean his last 5 races, every time in all those races he's been tracking the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not finishing. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's got a chance, and got to put him in there because I think if he's going to hit the board, it'll help the price a little bit.
Yeah, and like I said, watching it today, if you're up near the front, you're not necessarily going to win, but it seemed to me today that if you're up near the front, you had a pretty good chance of cashing a check. I went, so this is a 1,400 meter race, and I was looking at all the horses and how they ran at 1,400 meters and kind of try to calculate out their times. And it just looked to me like number 9, Rayage, maybe that Rayage. Looks to me like if that horse just runs its 1,400 time, came in at about 1 minute and 24 seconds, which is considerably better than anything else any other horse at this track or in this race has been able to do. Number 6, Leadership, I have it calculated out about 2 seconds slower. So I think the 9 horse could win this race kind of easily, Tom, if he just runs his race. And then I like the 4 horse, Tabarak, and the 3 horse, Hyde Park. They both should come in around 126 and a couple tenths of a second slower than Leadership. And that's if they all run their best. And the thing is, I don't think the 9 horse needs to run its best to beat the rest of this field because his fastest 1,400 meter time is 2 seconds faster than anything anybody else has been able to do. We'll see if he can repeat it. And I have no idea what his odds are either, Tom. So because the odds aren't out, and we'll see how they play out when it comes out. Now, race number 5 is a much different race, Tom. This is just the Land Rover one. So this is the used Land Rover, right? This is the one with 70,000 miles, the one that people like me can go out and afford. But this is a much different race, and it is 2,400 meters on the turf. So it's a much longer race, and it's on a different surface. So I think you're going to see a different kind of setup than we'll see in the previous race.
Yeah. I do see coming from off the pace winning. But I went with number 3, Good Tidings, draw 4, 14 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, and 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
Winner last time out at this distance. Well, it was
a little bit longer.
And 10.
10, yes.
And he's also won at this distance before. He's a tracker too. He tracks the leaders and then moves at around the 400 meters, sometimes a little quicker than that. Top of the stretch move. He's moving up a little bit because he raced at one of the other tracks for here, and then that was a 75 to 84 rated horse race.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 back. He has a start. He's had some starts on the dirt. They're all forgettable. He's a turf horse, he's. It'll be just interesting to see if he can repeat here, and I think he can. I think he's got enough in him that makes sense to fit this race. Now I get to butcher names. 4, Mutarab.
Mutarab? We'll go with Mutarab.
Okay.
Has a nice flow to it.
Has 24 starts, 4 wins, a second and thirds. He's been running against some good company. Last time he was up against listed horses. Sat mid division and then went the other way. He's had a better effort at the 70-90 at 2,000 meters. He ran 8th. Now you're going to go 8th. That's not good. Well, there's 16 horses in the field, so
he beat some.
It was for the level, and it was good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just throw out all his dirt races because he does not like that surface. He's coming off a win. He's faced the top 2 rated horses, but top 2 rated horses in this race have never run 2,400. And that's, rated being their handicap, the handicapper's number they give them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something this horse has run the distance. And I think that's going to favor, and Good Tidings, another reason why I like him is because they've run that distance. So that's one of my thinking and looking at this race. I went with number 8, Active Wisdom is my final choice. Draw 5. Has 10 starts and 3 wins. So, well, going to win or going to do nothing? I don't know.
The all or nothing horse, Mike.
Yeah.
You got to put him in there before, otherwise they'll kill you. And if you do put him in, they'll kill you the other way.
Well, he's the reason I put him in here is because he has no wins in Dubai. When they shipped him over, he ran on the dirt track twice. Why, I'm not sure, because he did awful.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're using them to condition the horse, which there are many trainers that like that approach. Put him in a race that he doesn't really belong in, but get something out of it. You see what he can do. And I think now the second start this level on the turf, I think we're going to see better results. And I also like the fact they changed the jockey to Ray Dawson, English rider who goes to warmer weather during the lovely England winters. Mm-hmm. And there's limited flat racing.
Well, I understand they don't have very nice summers over there either, so I can't imagine what the winter's like.
Yeah, it depends.
When you watch the British Open, which is in the middle of June, it's just brutal over there sometimes.
We get some nice wins,
Mm-hmm.
So I like that change. So I'm going to put him in for third. I just think that they experimented on the dirt, or they used the dirt as trials, and then now they're getting a little more serious with the horse and putting him in a spot where he thinks he's got a chance to win.
So you mentioned the distance. That's what I focused on. I think we kind of approached this race in a similar fashion because I wanted to see horses that can handle the distance. And as you mentioned, Good Tidings, 24:10 last time got the win. The time before that at 2400, I think it finished second or something, very close to the win. And then I looked at the other horses to seem like which horses in this field, because it seemed to me that some of the better horses, the longer they run in terms of what their ratings were, the longer they run, the worse they performed. And so I was looking to see which horses in the field actually might enjoy the good distance, and the longer they run, the better they seem to be. And this is a case like I had at Aqueduct the other day, where I just couldn't make up my mind on 3 horses. So I'm just going to put them all kind of in that 2, like they're like entries at Ohio track, where it's 2, 2B, 2X, and 2D, whatever, right? That they have at like Mahoning Valley. So for me, I'm clumping them all together. The 6 horse Miller's House, the 7 horse Mystery Land, and the 9 horse Autumn Pride. All of these horses, to me, they look similar, and they seem to do better the longer the race goes. So I don't think that all of them will finish in the money, but I have a feeling one of those 3 is going to surprise and end up maybe actually winning the race, because if you look at those past performances, the longer the race goes, the closer and closer and closer and closer they get to the whoever event who wins the race. The shorter the races, the farther away they are from the winner. So that tells me that the 6, the 7, and the 9, they want the distance. They're going to get the distance here. And let's just see if they can make good use of it. The next, before we move on to the next thing, Tom, I'm going to say that these races should go off in the morning.
First,
when you wake
first
up.
one, there were a handicap, probably around 6:15
Mm-hmm.
in the morning. Roughly, I'm not 100% sure, but that was what I converted it into.
And that's 6:15 Central
Time, yes.
Right, so 5:15 on the East Coast, and if you're on the West Coast, you'll just be coming in from a Saturday night out, right?
Well, I would hope you're already home, but you never know.
Depends on how old you are. So this one here is the 5 furlong race. This is a 1,000-meter race, Tom. Where and again, I was watching some of the Dubai races today, and I'm going to imagine that at a 5 furlong race, speed's going to hold up. So I focused on speed, horses that were close to the front. What did you focus
on? Ones that lay off a little bit. There was one straightaway race, and it was a 6 furlonger, and the leader got caught. But you were right; it did finish the money. I took number 2, Avalon Square, as my top choice. It has draw 2, has 9 starts, a win, and a second. First time out at Dubai, they put it in the condition level, and not much. Didn't do much. But again, a lot of these horses need time to adjust, and that may be an adjustment race. He's running top company in England. He's running group races, enlisted races. So they gave him a class rating of 96. It means he's done something right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a good spot to show up for 1,000 meters, and he's done the straightaways, so that shouldn't be something new to him. I find that when the American horses go over there sometimes with the straight tracks, they don't do so well. Good. They don't. Yeah, I think because if the sprints obviously not going to split off into groups, but the those races, who are you going to follow type of deal if you've got one that doesn't lay close to the lead. So this one I think can get out there and just kick on when it's ready to. I took one. Dawaha has draw 8 is my second choice. 22 starts, 5 wins, 6 seconds, and 2/3. One on all surfaces. So I always like to see that when a horse's numbers are high, that they're trying to get the horse on the right surface so he can win. Mm-hmm. And there are things that some of them just like them all. And winner left last time out at 1,000 meters. It was faster than the standard. It was 56-9.
That's fast.
And so that you got to put him in there, and that's why he's got the rating he got. He sits behind the leaders and makes his move and goes. This was his first win on the turf. But he's also been running generally longer races. He ran a second at 2,100 meters. So if he runs the way he's been running and can put anywhere close to that time up there, he's going to beat this field.
Mm-hmm.
3, Thunder of Niagara is my final choice. It has the draw 1. 13 starts, 2 wins, and 2/3. It only has 3 races in Dubai, and it's only finished 3rd once. This is the first time it's going to try this distance, but in its races both here and in England, it seems to be they were track the leader and then try to go. But so I'm thinking they're may try something different with this horse this time around, and that may make the difference. Pat Cosgrave has the mount, and he's good at getting him home if this horse has got it. My big question here is, can it race at this level? And we're going to find out.
Well, you mentioned the Hawaii and at 56-91, Tom, and if that horse runs 56-91, he's 6-7 lengths ahead of the next horse. That makes easy work of this field. That's why it's my top pick. Again, with these sprint races, I was looking for horses that could be close to the pace, and then looking at their 1,000-meter times and then ranking them out to see kind of what their average time is, what their peak time is, what their slowest time is. I ended up on number 4, Tash Shaba. We'll go with that. That horse is my if anybody can run a time close to the one horse, that one has run the closest. Number 8, this sounds like a Looney Tunes character. Wafud, right? Like Elmer Fudd, Wafud. That horse is another one that should be close to the pace, Tom, out of the gates. I don't necessarily think it's going to win, but based upon what I saw today, I do think if you can get close to the pace in a short race and you get the right fractions, you could finish in the money. And maybe if everything goes its way, it ends up in the winner's circle. And then number 6, Wheels of Fire on Fire. Based upon the times, he fits with any other horse in this field except for the one horse. And I feel like with the 6 and the 8, you're going to get some pretty good odds on the back end of that. And if I think the one horse is probably Howie is going to go off as a low price. I think he's going to be the prohibitive favorite. So if you're going to make any kind of value in this sort of race, then if you're going to have that horse near the top, then you're going to need to have something behind him at a price. And I feel like you're going to get good value at Wheels on Fire in Wafud because their times are pretty good relative to everybody else in this field. That brings us to our last effort at Dubai. This is well, Jaguar and Land Rover are the same company, right?
Yeah.
But which is a Jaguar a downgrade from a Land Rover or an upgrade? What do you think?
You got to have with the Jaguars. You got to have two of them because one needs for the shop and one for your garage. Range Rovers, I think, are a little more reliable.
So this is a little bit of a downgrade. Then we'll go with that. Sorry, Jaguar.
Well,
I guess we're gonna never have Jaguar
power.
as an advertiser, but maybe a Land Rover.
Yeah,
I like some of those Land Rovers, like that Land Rover Discovery. That's kind of like the one I want to get next. But when you go look at the price tag, you say, yeah, I kind of like the one I have.
They're not giving them away.
No, they're like a cost of a house when I was a kid. I mean, what the hell? What happened to cars that they cost more than houses when I was 18 years old? If I only knew, Tom, I would have bought every house I could have ever bought back then. Anyway, so this one is 1 mile. So it is 1,600 meters, Tom. I think this one is on the dirt as well. So maybe a little bit of early pace might hold up a little bit better than we talked about on the two turf races. Well, man, on the longer turf race.
We'll see. I went with number 8, Atlantic Sky is my top choice. Draw 3. 3 starts, a win, and a second. It was a second last time out in a restricted condition race. Moved at around the 500-meter mark and just couldn't get to the leader. Couldn't get to the winner. It won a 1,400-meter race in the Meydan, so this will be the first time it's going this distance. Based on the breeding, he's bred to go a mile and maybe a little more.
Mm-hmm.
It's really I thought it was interesting that the handicapper gave him a rating of 78 based on his 3 races. And but in looking at it a little closer, I think they've got the right place for it. Lightly raced, let's see what it can do. 5 Scabbard, draw 7 has got my next choice. 16 starts, 2 wins in 5 seconds and 3/3. This one is coming from Delaware Park. And
I thought the name was familiar.
And yeah, he may need a start, but I'm going to throw him in there anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Doug is the trainer, so he usually gets him ready. Mixed results right now based on his training numbers, but I think he can get somewhere. I thought this is another one. He gave him a rating of 85 based on the claiming races from Delaware. I thought that was curious, but in this field, it seems to fit.
Mm-hmm.
He's run some good races with some decent speed, and he's run some other ones that are, not as good. So win, I don't think so. I think he'll need a start, but I can easily see him coming second or third. Number 1, this is the one I get to really butcher. Mokaraba. I don't know.
Mokarab. We'll go with Mokarab.
Okay, got draw 1. 25 starts, 3 wins, a second, 2/3. 2 starts back. It was a winner on the dirt, going 1,400. They switched it to the turf, which I don't understand why, because it lost by 20 lengths. Well, obviously we know at surface this horse is going to run a little better on at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue I have with this horse is the distance. It's tried 6 times at this distance and goose egg.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. No wins, no placings. But it hasn't run at this track. So that's why I'm putting him in.
Sometimes those track changes can wake a horse up.
Yeah, and they're switching riders to Dane O'Neill, but there's a reason for that, because the rider of that horse the last 2 races is not riding my top choice, Atlantic Sky. So maybe you know something.
Maybe. For me, Tom, I'm looking at number 2, Sendid as my top choice here. Horse looks to me like it's on the upswing. And the last time it ran 1 mile, it did so in 1:39 in about 18, which again, your repeat of that race should be good enough to get to the finish line first. That's what I'm looking at. I agree with you on number 5, Scabbard. It's just a horse that maybe doesn't win, maybe doesn't look so good on paper, but when you look at the final result, always seems to be in the money. So I think it's just one of those horses that it's a Denzel Washington horse, as I call it on a show with Terry, where it's always around the barbershop, but doesn't necessarily get a haircut. It's always around the winner's circle, but that doesn't necessarily go in for a photo session. Number 7, Gervais, I guess named after the comedian who makes fun of the people in Hollywood. It lost to the my top pick last time out, but not by much. I think by like 1 and 1.5 lengths, something in there. So it should be right off the tail. If I like the top one, I have to like. If I like Sandid, I got to like Gervais. And finally, I like number 3, Double Orb. If you look at the time, the last time it ran at 1,600 meters, it and Gervais, their times were deceptively good. They may have finished off the leader, but I think the winner in that race might have put in a really good effort. So you're off by 5, you finish 4th, you're off by 5. That looks bad because you missed by 5, but it really isn't as bad when you look at how well the leader ran. So I think you're going to see a good effort from Gervais and the Double Orb. Maybe one of them can upset the apple cart at a good price here and bring home a really nice ticket to make up, Tom, for my disastrous weekend at Hong Kong. Any thoughts or pearls of wisdom when it comes to betting at Dubai? Any particular kind of quirky bets there that you can make that aren't necessarily available here?
It really depends on what they're offering. Usually there's not too much in the creative department on these races. But it can be very chalky at times in these races at this track. And then it can be, get some really big long shots winning. I think the hardest part about these races is that it's the ones that are based in Dubai versus the ones that are coming in from all over the world. And they come in from South Africa, they come in from US, England, France. I mean, there are many trainers and many jockeys and horses that come in from all over because, well, the money's good. And you can't blame them.
That's what you're running for, right? The money to pay those farm.
Well, and the weather's a lot nicer
than New York or Delaware for that matter.
South Africa is fine, but
or Australia, right?
But not So I mean, that's really what I look at is this try to find horses that just fit this kind of environment, and if they're just one of those that throws up a good race every once in a while and then does nothing, that's not uncommon. And especially at the lower class races. And so I try to not get too chalky. But if I see a card that I just can't figure out anything, I just say, I'll watch them.
Pass.
And watch and learn. I mean, it's the thing is generally the fields are 8 horse plus. So you get some good betting opportunities in these races.
Yeah, you do. I was watching the races today again. Like I mentioned, you got some good prices. They get up towards the lead. They seem to not necessarily win, but kind of hold on to collect a little bit of a paycheck at the end. If you haven't had a chance to yet, we did have a very good conversation last night with Claudia Spadaro. Make sure you go check that out. We talked a lot about Life is Good, Knicks Go, which one we think is going to win, why we think which one of those is going to win. Sean went way off the rails and picked something else. So we might be the ones that are off the rails. But you mentioned about interesting bets. I think it would be interesting bet if they would open it up. Which one's going to have the lead at the quarter-mile marker? Life is Good or Knicks Go? And I really think that the bookmakers should start thinking about stuff like that to make horse racing a little bit more like sports bet rating racing.
Well, they do that in England. They have the exchange where you bet against each other, which they tried in New Jersey and it failed miserably. But they do have, if you watch some of the races and it's a real close photo finish, you can bet on the photo finish and who won.
I'm usually pretty good at calling those too, so I might do all right on that. But I would imagine they're pretty good at calling it too, and the one that wins is going to be 1-9, and the one that's going to lose is going to be 10-1. So you got to take the 1-9 all the time.
Yeah, you got to take the sharp price, but it's an interesting bet to play. I've never done it, of course, because we don't have that option here, but it's certainly interesting to see what the market does on that. And since they treat it more as, does the market have it right or do they have it wrong? And being the regular betting. And they also, the other thing is because you can bet a lot earlier there, and they show the trends of it. They show market movers, and so you get some idea of where the bettors are thinking the horse that's going to win. Sometimes you'll see a 9-1 shot now at 7-2, and that picks up.
I think that would be a good idea here too. Is like once like Aqueduct closes today, the window opens up for tomorrow immediately, so you can go make your bets early on. And I think that would increase the pools too, instead of having that that little. I mean, you can bet on them once they open up in that day, but I think if you open up the night before, you might get bigger pools and bigger payouts, which could attract. Maybe that will even allow them then to reduce some of the takeout. If you like what you saw, Tom, today, if people like what they saw, what should they do?
Well, I would hope you're going to subscribe, because we're going to be talking about all kinds of good foreign racing coming up. And as we get towards the spring, the flat season in England and France will start, and we're definitely going to be watching those races.
Yes, we're right back in that loop, the Ascot, the Arc, and then as that all went last year, which was a lot of fun for me. Yes, indeed. Please subscribe on Twitter and Facebook. The handles are both the same. You see them on the screen down there. Horse Race, the number 2 day, Horse Race today. I think Sean used the same thing over at Instagram, where he's putting up lovely photos of himself poolside. Because, that's what they do in those Instagram photos, right? You see all these people at the beach and so forth. I don't think that's what Sean is doing. And then, of course, if you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Help us get to that 1,000 number. Tell your friends about us. And Horse Player X, I want to say thank you very much for your kind words, and congratulations on that nice pick 5 yesterday. Hopefully we can have some more of those in Dubai and at Gulfstream tomorrow. And then Terry and I'll be back on Monday, probably with Turf Paradise once again. Until we
got
catch
some
up.
Good races this weekend. I mean, the Southwest at Oak Lawn, and then on Sunday, the Sam Houston, they're running the ladies Classic there. So there's some nice betting opportunities and some nice races to watch.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great weekend for racing. And I had to put the commentary together for 19 stakes races. Boy, that was a lot of fun. But I'm glad I'm done with that. So on to tomorrow, Tom. All right, till we catch up again. Tom, any idea where we're going to head off to? What part of the world we're going to be visiting next weekend?
How about we go to New Zealand?
All right, we'll go to New Zealand. Haven't been there
myself. We've not tried that yet. And they've produced some nice race horses, and they're kind of like Australia, and a little smaller because they have less, but their tracks all over, and they open for one day or they are open for periods of time. And some of those courses can be very rough to run on. So it would be interesting to try one of those.
All right, we're going to do New Zealand next week then. So until Tom and I come back next Thursday night, I don't know who our guest is going to be just yet, but we'll be back on Monday night, Sean and I, with jockey Jeremy Rose, who's got a lot of opinions on a lot of things. So it should be a very fun show. Look forward to that as well. If you haven't had a chance to catch out the Horse Center yet, you might want to look at that, because we've learned a lot of stuff in the few shows that we've done already. All right, Thomas, until Thursday, I hope you have a great weekend. Hope that all your picks in Dubai end up in the
winner's circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.